Hello, sports fans. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thank you for stopping by our YouTube channel. Make sure to hit the subscribe and notifications toggle so you never miss a thing. All of our content up here every day. Looking forward to it. Thank you, and we'll see you on the radio.
Still and Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world.
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayler's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
Pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth, the Still Company Studios on this Wednesday. You've made it to the point where when you finish with us, you'll be over the hump. Did you see the St. Louis game win over VCU? Was delayed by a fan fight with like a minute 10 to go. A couple of fans were in a fight wrestling and they spilled onto the floor.
Wow.
And the game,
Last night?
I've never heard of anything like that. That's nuts. Of course, the coach there, the former Indiana State coach, and running that program. So that's kind of wild.
By the way, Jim, I looked it up. 12 threes is the most threes that Maryland's made in the Big Ten game all year.
There you go. Well, why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't it be? But that was a part of their offense. I mean, and they're a perimeter team. Although
we didn't even mention the fact that Indiana had a foul to give, though, and didn't give it.
Well, that's the thing that really stuck out. They ended up getting Ballo out there, and I think that worked to Maryland's advantage by just getting him kind of in the way and not being able to move quickly enough. That's another thing. They did not have the right personnel in. Now, I understand having bigs in if you're trying to block shots or whatever, but you've also got to be able to move and move with the guys that they're going to be cutting and screening because they're trying to get somebody open. And then you had at the other end, twice they had, no, we need him in. I need him in. It's like, wait a minute. Did they? I can't remember. Did they not call a timeout, or were they out of timeouts?
They were out of timeouts.
But not a good thing.
I mean, there was a contradiction after the game. I mean, Woodson said they knew what to do, and Rice said they were confused. Now, I think I'm going to believe the player. If he was the one actually asked to carry out what he was expected to do and he was confused, I'd say there was confusion. And the way it actually turned out, that was confusing.
Yeah.
And you didn't you just needed 1 point to get it to overtime, 2 points to win. You didn't need a 3. And you certainly didn't need a contested 3.
No. One other thing that has bothered fans and probably the media as well is when you ask Mike a question,
he doesn't
answer an answer, but not the answer to the question that you ask.
No.
And that's both convenient, but I also think I'm starting to wonder if that's how he sees it. He saw that, we had a play drawn up. Now, what he might not see is he did not get that across to the players in a manner that made any sense in a short time frame, because we see how he is when he has time to think and speak. Well, what's it going to be like when he doesn't have time in a moment of crisis like that? So I kind of feel the same way.
Well, Jim, they're just going to have to get back in the gym and, work on things like that and Got to get them over the hump.
Got to get them better. Got to get them better.
Get
At
them
that.
better. I wish I knew.
Got to get them better. Got to get them rebounding better. Just got to work harder. Got to work harder. I thought about one day. I'm like, I don't have the time. I know somebody out there will, but I am surprised. I'm not going to do it, but I'll sure give you the idea. Run a looped. You don't even have to loop it. The thing is, you wouldn't even have to loop it. You could compile over these 4 years. Oh my goodness. That would probably be, maybe I should do this, because that would probably be the biggest video ever if you put out just of those answers.
There's like 6 or 8 that he just has on a cycle. He recycles the same 6 or 8.
And I hate to sit here and bash him, because I'm not trying to do that, but I think the thing that aggravates Indiana fans most is there doesn't seem to be any accountability by him. It's always, well, the players didn't run the right play, or
right.
This guy was hurt.
He had open shots and they didn't make them.
The shots didn't go down. Yes, there's never. I got to get them better. Well, why do you got to get them better? It goes back to when I asked Anthony Leal. I said, you've laid out a lot of the things that you feel you need to do as a team and as individually on the team. But my question was, why was it not already being done? And then that answer came as, well, winning's hard. And I'm like, I think the entire team has gotten into the habit of being able to look at it a different way than reality.
Right. I guess. I mean, because of the fact that there's a Big Ten tournament, because of the fact that there's 68 teams that go in, because of the fact that it's not a great year in college basketball. If they do get on a roll, even if they'd win one of these next 2 games, they'd probably get back on the bubble. They were like the second team out last week with Lenardi. So it's not hopeless, but there's not been, over the last 2 seasons, any evidence of consistency of play or consistency to correct issues or solve problems to make you think that it's going to happen that way. And this, as you mentioned when we first started, is the most daunting part of the schedule. I mean, I doubt if there's another team in the league that has a 4-game stretch where they're playing at Purdue, at Wisconsin, Michigan at home, and then at Michigan State. I mean, just not. And so we'll see. If you're really truly competitors and you're bought in on the concept that you're going to do something this year, you're going to win one of those 3 road games. You are, and not come up with excuses why you didn't win them. Just go win the game, and that's the only way they're going to shut people up.
All right, going on the premise, and this is just a hypothetical right now, that there is a change at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I know Dusty May is the first thought in most fans and minds, with good reason. And if it wasn't for Chris Beard's baggage, that might be a 50-50 deal, but it's not. But how likely? Mike DeCourcy does not think that Dusty will make a move 1 year in. But I keep coming back to the fact of he did not negotiate a low buyout, an unusually low first-year buyout for no reason. And everyone talks about all of the negativity that's going on. Well, when is it not negative when your team sucks? What was it like at Kentucky last year at the end of Calipari? What was it like at Louisville last year at the end of hell, I can't even remember his name right now. I can see it. Kenny Payne. What was it like at the last? It was.
What was it like at Ohio State after they lost to Michigan in the last game of the regular season before they won the national championship? What was it like there? What's it like in Alabama football right now?
Exactly. They were calling for Ryan Day's head this year.
Exactly. Yeah. What's it like at North Carolina after they lost to Pittsburgh last night, and now they've lost, I think, 9 games? That's just the way it is if you're a program that aspires to be great. And Indiana hasn't been great for a long, long time. They had great moments in 2012 and 2013, but they haven't been great for 2 decades. But that doesn't mean that people that follow the program don't expect it to be great, and want a coach in there who can, just they just want a coach, in my opinion, who can make up a contender in the Big Ten every year and not have these wild ups and downs and drops, and feel like there's some kind of a future. If you look at this current situation, it's hard to see there's any future because it's not just they're not winning this year, they didn't win last year. Even when they did win the 2 years previously, they flopped in the NCAA tournament and got beat the first weekend, been double-digit losses. Recruiting has been a abysmal failure with high school kids the last couple of years. They don't see a future in this. And so there's a coach out there that'll come. It might not be the first or second choice. You go back to Kentucky and Louisville. Kentucky wanted Scott Drew. He came and visited. He decided to stay at Baylor. They talked to Danny Hurley, and that didn't go anywhere. And then the third choice was Mark Pope, and some fans initially were resistant, and then everybody got on board. At Louisville, again, it was Drew, and then Dusty May, and then there might have been one other guy, and then Kelsey was the third or fourth choice, and he's done a phenomenal job. He might be the national coach of the year. So this comes to the point where if a change is made, the athletic director has to do his homework, and he's got plenty of ramp-up time right now to come up with a name, and it might not be somebody any of us are thinking about because May is the easy default name because of his connections to IU. But there are other guys out there that would be willing to take on the challenge because they know if you come to Indiana, you're going to have resources that you're not going to have at a lot of other places. So this thing I read that people are delusional. There's a lot of coaches that don't want to come there. I don't believe that.
Nope.
There's going to be guys that love the challenge and are smart enough to realize if they're the coach that comes and wins there, that'll become one of the best jobs in the country because they'll be exalted for what they've done in Indiana.
That's the thing that has boggled my mind is, and I've said this so many times, both NIL and the transfer portal, when that came along, that was like Indiana basketball going to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
Yeah.
It's the golden ticket, literally the golden ticket. And it just was mismanaged because the coaching hire previously was mismanaged, and it was mismanaged before that. Indiana has not been able to get out of its own way. Don't lose sight of that. It all goes back to the administration. Bad hire after bad hire. The money that has been wasted over the last 5-6 years, mind-boggling. Well over $60 million on buyouts and all of that stuff. But that's neither here nor there. We've talked about this before. But how important is it that they have to get this right? But this is like way, way, way up to the point where you have to get this right. You cannot fail a third time in a row. Green was not a failure. He just lost it there at the end. But Archie was horrible hire. And then Mike was not working out. So they've got to get it. How important?
It's 10 out of 10 important to get it right, because I think you're at a point now where fan view of the program is, frustration. There's a lot of internal squabbling among people about what they should do. And I think a more important thing of it is you've got young fans who are more impressionable, who are like, why would I want to watch Indiana basketball? They lose. It doesn't have the allure of some of the programs that win on a consistent level. And you're not going to change that overnight, but if you get the right coach in there, you can change it. And you got to rebuild the relationships in recruiting. So Braylon Mullins and a Jalen Harrelson and, some of the other guys, Caleb First and Miles Colvin and Braden Smith and all these guys go elsewhere. He's got a lot of work. He's going to have a big plate ahead of him. But as you mentioned, with the with NIL and the transfer portal, it's a quicker turnaround than it used to be. It took Crean until his 4th year to really make a mark. If you get the right coach in there, he can have him winning next season.
But and I think it might have been you that mentioned this. His 6-25 team only lost 2 games by like 20+ points.
That's correct.
And of all teams to say that's because they must have played some defense along the way for Cream Team to say he had played defense. It's amazing, but they did.
Well, those teams competed. I mean, I remember coming up to those games. Yeah, they did. Yeah, it was Pritchard.
Had a lot of close games too. A lot of close games that could have gone the other way.
Yeah, but they were out talented in every game in the Big Ten. They were tremendously out talented. They only won 1, but they lost a bunch of games by like 5 points or less. And you're playing with Verdell and Tom Pritchard and Kyle Tabor and Matt Roth and Daniel Moore and Malik Story and Nick Williams, and I mean nobody on it. Not Verdell might. He's not in the top 20 scorers of all time. I don't think, is he?
No, I don't think so. One of the things else that it's going back to what you were talking about is Indiana going through this long period. You're not developing new fans. The ancillary fan. You may have your graduates, which they boast. Indiana boasts about having the 2nd largest graduating
alumni group. Yeah,
alumni. But I think part of that's because you don't even have to have gone to the school to join the alumni association. FYI. Just a little secret there. But you're not developing new fans. You're not developing the young fans who grow into older fans, who grow into buying tickets. But on the other side of that coin, Curt Cignetti in Indiana football showed, boy, wave that raw meat in front of that tiger's mouth, and they will come. Winning cures most things. And Curt Cignetti in Indiana football is a great, perfect example of that. And Indiana football fans have to be stoked. Curt Cignetti is not missing a beat recruiting-wise. They just hosted in the number 8 quarterback in the 2026 class. Their quarterbacks room is stock full. Hell, they got more guys than I thought that they the kid from Ball State that went there, I'm like, why would you come to Indiana? You have no chance on ever seeing, hell, you could barely see the practice field probably, much less the playing field. Maybe for better coaching, he should have gone to Ball State and got some playing time, I think, then maybe transferred. That's neither here nor there.
The high school kid who decommitted from Illinois who's coming to Indiana, is that you're talking about, the quarterback?
No, that's a wide receiver, I believe. There was a kid that was committed to Ball State that decommitted. I can't remember his name, but
he's from suburban Chicago. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, Cignetti is, as long as you brought it up, I mean, that's another thing that's going against Mike Woodson. If you have a guy who comes in 1 year, who speaks boldly and backs it up, and everything he said he backed up, and beat Purdue 62-3 or 63-3 or whatever it was, and goes to the playoff in a sport that Indiana hadn't been good in a long time. How did he do it? Well, he had a plan. He executed. He had a coaching staff who he believed in and likes him and trusts him. He worked the portal. And now he shows up at the basketball game and gets the largest cheer of the game and tells everybody, hey, I'm not done yet. I'm just getting started. So he evokes positivity. He evokes confidence. He evokes excitement. You want to follow something like that. You don't want to follow something that when you say, I wish I knew.
Exactly, because he doesn't say anything like that. I mean, he goes overboard a lot of times.
He doesn't have to say, I wish I knew. He knows when things go wrong. He knows what it is, and he fixes it.
Exactly. And he talked about like when they got beat at Ohio State. I mean, football coaches just seem to be better at it than basketball coaches. They're they just call it out. Well, we got beaten every phase of the game today. Yeah, we got our tails.
He knows their offensive line needs a major upgrade, and he's going about trying to fix it. He's brought in a couple guys, and They're trying to bring. I don't they have two guys from Notre Dame who have visited. One already has come, and the other one's about to come. So he knows for them to take the next step, they got to get better on the offensive and defensive line. Now, whether he can do it or not is another matter, because that's a small pool of players out there who can help you get better. But he's trying to do it.
And one other note of interest there, Indiana, Brian Haynes, the defensive coordinator, had signed a memorandum of understanding in December, which I don't understand that. Why do you not just sign the contract at that time?
Yeah, there's probably other clauses in there about different things, whether it's retirement plans or country club memberships.
Is the memorandum binding?
Playing. Huh?
Is the memorandum binding to the contract?
Yeah, I don't know. I never quite made it into IU law school, so I'd say it's binding, and then the contract supersedes it probably.
I made it into the Kelly school, but that was only because I was on tour with my daughter as she was taking a tour. That was the only time I'd ever been in a Kelly school building. But he signed a new deal other than that one since then, because you saw Penn State snag Jim Knowles from Ohio State. That was
$3.1 million.
That was a surprise. He had previously signed a memorandum. That previous agreement was just for $1.8 million. So obviously this one is going to be over $2 million, because I promise you Ohio State could have come back and taken that. But I wonder how many years that is for. And
Knowles, he got $1.1 million for 3 years. He got $9.3 million.
So yeah, it's crazy. But hey, you got to pay the piper, right? And the piper played the song last year, so you got to keep the band together. I didn't get to ask you actually. Do you think Dusty May would make a move? Just quick, yes or no?
I'd put it at 25%.
Really? Then see, every time somebody, I know that. No, I know. I know him, but I don't know him that I can say that I have that answer. I don't know that. I'm never in his mind, because he was going to Louisville for all intents and purposes. And everything I keep hearing is the reason he ended up going to Michigan at the last second was the ability to get that lower buyout. And there's nobody that has a buyout that low in their first season in a program like that. So there's no doubt that was done with purpose. I don't know if that's still something on the deal for him. Next question, Chris Beard. Would Indiana look at him if Dusty was not available?
Yes, I'll say yes. I told you this. I mean, what he did and the charges were later dropped was one of the worst things you can do. If he indeed put his hands on his fiance, girlfriend, whatever it was. Since then, he was out of the game for 1 year. This is his second year at Ole Miss. Hadn't had any other incidents. And it's a heck of a coach, and he's somebody that I think that he's the kind of coach that can win really big, and he's a Bob Knight disciple. He wore Bob Knight on his polo shirt, Ole Miss polo shirt, when he was here after the Louisville game. And I was impressed with him, as I said in the post-game interview, in terms of the way he acted with the media. He answered the questions from all visiting. There was no Ole Miss media there. He's an impressive guy. But I know there are going to be a percentage of people that are going to say, no, you can't hire Chris Beard because of what happened at Texas. And I respect that opinion. I just think that it's been 3 years now and he's kept out of trouble. So I don't know how long you keep, considering the charges were dropped. I don't know if that you could disqualify him.
I agree. Second chances. There is a coach that I know. I won't say who it is, where they are, whatever, that has something kind of similar in their background. And I've said this 1,000 times. They're one of the most they're people that I respect most in this world today, for whom they have become the kind of leader of men they are. They are someone to look up to. And so you can't just throw people away. You can get an indication of someone's character. And so I think that is not, to not look at him would be short-sighted, especially when you're trying to do one thing, win. Now, I'm not saying win at all costs, but win. So there's that. What's up next for you?
This weekend, I'm not going anywhere because I use at Purdue Friday night. I'm not going to that. Louisville's on the road Saturday. Saturday night, I guess I might be in Lexington, but
I'm laughing because I've got a comment
I'm
up.
sorry,
Steven.
Steven.
He says, Rick's not a good person, and he's always downing IU because he's for Louisville and Kentucky. Oh, Steven, if you only knew.
Saturday night, Coach Cal comes back to Rupp Arena Saturday night. So,
oh my, that ought to be a nice, fun throwdown.
Yeah. Coach Cal's struggling right now. He's near the bottom in the SEC. I think they're next to last. Only South Carolina. Indiana's signature win out of the conference was against South Carolina, which hasn't won an SEC game.
Stephen also thinks that it's the portal. He says he does have a question before we go out.
Okay.
What is another coach going to do, or how is another coach going to do a better job with these people from the portal? Because that's kind of the problem. Well, it's not a problem for anybody else. I can give you 40 or 50 teams that are not having that problem. It's not the portal. It is getting the right players in your program. And it's also mixing, developing, being able to land people like, Braylon Mullins and Jalen Harrelson, who are 5-star McDonald's All-Americans that are not coming to Indiana. Getting those kinds of players, Liam McNeely. Think of the talent they could have.
Derek Queen.
Derek Queen.
We'll
see. I wonder what happens with Zerno, the recruit. That's a big question I have, and people wonder. That's another reason. I said that was gonna be the last question. I'm gonna have to do some editing today. Zerno, why does Scott Dolson need to wait till the end of the season, or does he need to wait till the end of the season? Should he wait until the end of the season?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was a similar situation here at Louisville last year where the fan base had written off Kenny Payne even earlier than Mike Woodson has been written off, and it was inevitable, I think, what was going to happen unless he turned it around and got on a streak. Never did, and he waited till a day after the ACC tournament, and they made the move and still had a head start on a lot of other schools in terms of making a coaching change. So because Mike Woodson's a former IU player, because he's a 2,000-point scorer, for a lot of different reasons, I think you let him finish out the year, and then you say, hey, Mike, this just isn't working, and we're going to go a different direction.
I agree. Well, brother,
you can get the word out. You can get the word out behind the scenes.
Back channeling.
Yeah, this might be open, and if it was open, who are some coaches? I mean, agents are already checking out different jobs, saying if you're going to be open, my guy might be interested. You got to have a feel for what I don't think they can afford is. I heard people mention Brad Stevens. I don't think you can do that Brad Stevens dance again unless you're convinced he's going to come. You can't go after Brad Stevens and have him publicly, consider the offer for a day or two and then say, no, I'm not going there.
Is he a legit even? Yeah, that's the thing. Is that something he would even consider, and why? Yeah. I mean, I've mentioned the fact that his daughter's supposed to be a year away from graduating high school. Okay. Is that really going to move his needle?
Yeah, I mean, that seems like a step down to go from the president or general manager, whatever he is, of the Boston Celtics to a Division I basketball coach again, unless he just has the coaching bug. But I don't know. I would think that's in the long shot category.
Absolutely. Make sure you're giving Rick Bozich a follow for all things college basketball.
Even Come back again next week, Steven. I'll try and do better for you.
Yeah, he does. Don't worry. He's loyal, if anything else. Looking forward to it. Cannot thank you enough as always, brother. It is always a pleasure. Everybody else, you're a
Thanks,
favorite
Jim.
to most everybody else. So you got that going for you.
All right, thanks.
Even the Cubs fans.
We're only 12. We're only like 14 days away from spring training, so it won't be long.
Bated breath, baby. Bated breath.
Bye.
Appreciate you, my friend. That's going to wrap it up for us today on the program. I cannot thank each and every one of you enough. We couldn't do it without you. We're back tomorrow to do it again. Of course, Coach Shannon Griffith with us and Chris Teneri, and we'll see what else we've got coming up as Indiana takes on Purdue this weekend, and a host of other games that we'll be talking about. So until then, I hope you guys go out and have a great rest of your day. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
Hello, sports fans. Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thank you for stopping by our YouTube channel. Make sure to hit the subscribe and notifications toggle so you never miss a thing. All of our content up here every day. Looking forward to it. Thank you, and we'll see you on the radio.